all the other lost books, but we will tell you when we're doing that to separate from the Bible, because I know it's not canonical, but I do enjoy reading those books. I dig into ancient history and all of that stuff. Because, like I said, I wasn't a Christian when I first came into this, but God, through me digging into these topics, is what really, really started to wake me up. And I hope that our episodes come across somebody else who was like me, who was kind of on the fence or maybe going back and forth. And I pray that as we go through these topics, that God talks to you, that God reaches out to you. I'm not here to try and force you to become a Christian. I'm not going to bash you one way or another. Because, like I said, I very much enjoyed Dane coming on because he is not yet. Or I'm not saying he's not, but I am going to be coming at these topics from more of a Christian standpoint. He understands some of these topics from science and education standpoint. So we're trying to give you the best type show we can. And yes, my goal is that you guys would give your life to Jesus at some point. And I pray that God shines through me in such a powerful way that you see the change in me. You see what he's doing for me. Everything I talk about, I have experienced in some way. I don't come on here and just make stuff up. I don't know if you guys have hear me talk about what God did for me recently. Dane's fixing to come on. I see your picture's not working, but again, it's no rush, Dane. Tomorrow will be 2 full months since God healed my back. I had my L1, 2, 3, and 4 on my lower back, bulging discs, spurs. I was smashing my sciatic nerve, and I was in constant pain. Couldn't sleep good. And when it wasn't hurting bad, my leg was on fire all the time. I couldn't do labor work anymore. I couldn't hardly go walk outside and mow my yard. And now I can do it all. And I've had absolutely no pain whatsoever. And I was telling Dane the other day when we were talking about it, I would love to go get another MRI and see what happened, because I have my other one. But even if that came back and said that it's still there, I wouldn't care, because I have absolutely no pain. And that cannot be taken away from me. I don't care who believes and doesn't believe, but it's one thing to believe in God. It's another thing to start experiencing God. And when you have that moment, when you realize you are hearing the voice of God, God does talk to you, especially when you ask him random questions and somehow he answers you to a question like you never think. Like, I've been praying about Christmas and the holidays and asking about these because I know that we have been misled and lied to so much throughout our life. I have been going back through everything in my life where I grew up and I was taught something, and I want to dig into that, whether I think I know or not. And I encourage you to do the same as we go through this, guys. Just set your bias aside, have fun with it, try to enjoy what we're going to talk about. Again, it's not to mislead you, to manipulate you, to bash you into trying to be a Christian and things like that. Yes, I believe that God wants us to be disciples, and that is my job, to try and bring you to Christ, but I'm not going to try and force it on you guys. Like I said, I hope that you see what he's done for me. I hope that you can see him shining through me so powerful. And the things that we talk about, I hope that at least by the time we're done tonight, you'll go home and ask God about these things. You'll dig into your Bible. You'll dig into other history topics on this manner. Dane will be on in just a second. Are you driving, Dane? Hold on one second. Let's throw him on. You're not driving, are you?
I am right now, but if you hop me on, I'm not going to be paying attention. I'm going to be driving. I'm just going to be talking.
Just okay. I'll pull you down for right now. You get home safe. Don't worry about that. I'm gonna play the other video that I wasn't gonna play today, and I'll just kind of talk with them. He'll be on with us in a few minutes, guys. So let's be safe.
Let's go ahead and play that video, and that'll be teaching me at the same time. So I'll have some stuff to kind of regurgitate when I get home.
All right. Be safe, bud.
Okay, thank you.
All right, he'll be on with us soon. So before I pull this up, I want to throw my theory out on this. And I've gone back and forth with some of this. I don't know how much of you have dug into Nimrod, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and really questioned some of these things. But so here's this may sound crazy, guys. I know, but that's what I do. And that's how I learned. I ask the crazy questions. So back in 2003, they found, or they claimed that they have found the tomb of Gilgamesh, right? Well, that's an odd time now, isn't it? Do y'all remember what was going on in 2003? Do you remember 2001? What happened? And then what happened there soon after with George Bush, the warmonger who got a bunch of families torn apart, all for his rich man's war? Well, he claimed there was weapons of mass destruction over there now, didn't he? Maybe there was. Maybe there was weapons of mass destruction, but they weren't looking for the type of weapon that you and I initially think about when they bring that up. Maybe Gilgamesh, Nimrod's body was found, and I'm going to play a clip where it shows that, and he wanted that body because guess what you could do with that DNA? Guess what you could do? And the Bible tells us that the end times will be like the days of Noah. In the days of Noah, they were manipulating DNA. They were the sexual revolution. I personally believe they were a highly advanced society in other ways than we are right now. And I'm starting to believe that the aliens were part of the DNA manipulation that they were doing back then by creating a man goat, creating all these other different types. When you think of the myths that all the people around the world have talked about, I truly believe that that's where a lot of these myths come from, and they're not myths at all. They're closer to facts. And I think, like Dane was saying last week, is that these stories were told in a specific way so that they could be passed down and people would remember them. And yes, I know that things change over time, and we're not going to get it dead on perfect. So again, guys, I just ask that you keep an open mind, but think about that truly. And if I remember correctly, when we took Saddam Hussein out, there's rumors that he had got the Stargate working at that time. And it's just when you look back at the time and you start to see these things unfolding, now that we have hindsight looking back, I am curious if that's what George Bush was after. Was he after the Ark of the Covenant and Nimrod's body? And there are people who swear that our military were out there digging up the Euphrates River at night, putting things on trucks. No, these are things I can't prove, but it sure is fun to talk about. So I'm going to show you a video of them claiming to find his body. And then when Dane gets on, we're going to pull up another video of a guy. It's more like a teaching session where he's going to go through some of these topics deeply, and Dane and I will stop and talk about it. And again, I have the live chat up. I encourage you to talk with us. If you enjoy what we're doing and you want to help us grow, Dane and I have a dream of traveling America and creating documentaries and with our own footage, going to these sites, seeing these things with our own eyes, bringing you along with us, filming everything that we do, and creating a wonderful documentary. That is our goal, guys. So that's what we really want to do. But let's go ahead and hop into this. This website is thearchaeologist.org. Just so you guys know, let's see how big that is. Let's see here. See if I can get that a little bigger for you. All right. What guys, what state are y'all watching from? Let us know. I'm curious to how far my videos are actually going.
It was a discovery that stunned the world. An entire ancient city, hidden for centuries, suddenly revealed itself to the modern world. But that was just the beginning. As archaeologists ventured deeper into the heart of the city, and after years of severe drought, the mighty Euphrates River had completely dried up, revealing a long-lost artifact that had been hidden for millennia. How did it go unnoticed for so long? What secrets lay hidden within its walls? The answers to these questions could rewrite the history books and unlock new insights into one of the most fascinating figures of ancient history. The astounding discovery of the ancient Mesopotamian city of Gilgamesh, which was unearthed after the Euphrates River fully dried up, has astonished the entire globe in recent years. This finding led to the city's location. This incredible find at an archaeological site has not only cast fresh light on one of the most intriguing and enigmatic people in the annals of human history, but has also prompted tremendous interest and debate among academics, historians, and members of the general public alike. People all throughout the world have been mesmerized for millennia by the tale of Gilgamesh, the favored ruler of Uruk. His deeds and adventures have been recounted in ancient manuscripts and epic poetry, and his legacy has survived through the ages thanks to these works. However, the precise location of his grave was unknown for hundreds of years, and many people were under the impression that it had been obliterated by the passing of time. All of that changed when the Euphrates River, which had continuously flowed through the region for a long time, unexpectedly stopped flowing through the area because of shifting weather patterns and other environmental variables. After the flood levels had subsided, a group of archaeologists exploring the riverbank came across the ruins of a large edifice that had been buried there. In the course of further excavation, it was discovered that the site in question was really the long-lost tomb of Gilgamesh himself. Let's take a look back at the history of Gilgamesh. According to legend, Gilgamesh's parents were the goddess Ninsun, also known as Ninsumun, the Holy Mother and Great Queen, and the priest king Lugalbanda, who is portrayed in two Sumerian poems concerning his magical talents that predate Gilgamesh. The Sumerian king list puts Gilgamesh's reign at 126 years. Thus, he must have been a demigod if he lived so long and had godlike strength. In the 26th century BCE, Gilgamesh is generally agreed upon to have been the fifth king of Uruk. He is said to have had such an impact that legends about his divine nature developed in response to his actions, eventually coalescing into the stories that form the basis of the Epic of Gilgamesh. Some of the later kings of Mesopotamia would even claim descent from him. To boost his reputation among his subjects, Shulgi of Ur, often regarded as the greatest monarch of the Ur III period in Mesopotamia, reportedly claimed Lugalbanda and Ninsun as his parents and Gilgamesh as his brother. According to researcher Stephen Mitchell, his name Bilgames, Gilgames, and Gilgamos could indicate the kinsman is a hero or the old man is a young man. The ancient Sumerian poetry, The Descent of Inanna, popularly introduces him to modern audiences as a god who died and was reborn, the fabled ruler of Uruk and the consort of Inanna Ishtar. Gilgamesh rejects Inanna Ishtar, but he also suffers over the loss of his companion Dumuzi, who he seduced and afterward punished by banishing him to the underworld for 6 months out of every year. The process of developing the text. The Akkadian translation of the poem was uncovered in 1849 by archaeologist Austin Henry Layard among the remains of Ashurbanipal's library in Nineveh. In the middle of the 19th century, European institutions and governments began funding journeys to Mesopotamia in search of tangible evidence to confirm events reported in the Bible. Layard's voyage was one such expedition. Instead, they discovered that the Bible drew heavily on older Sumerian mythology, despite the belief that it was the oldest book in the world.
All right, I'm going to pause right there for just a second because of what it is saying, and I'm going to tell you my opinion on that, but I know we'll go back to that video. The reason I wanted to play this first, I wasn't going to play this with Dan because we were going to start with the other way, but this kind of works out good too. Now, science will claim that this was the Epic of Gilgamesh was way before the Noah's flood. So that would discount the Bible, right? Or they would claim that the Bible stole this, and that's how the Bible was written. And this whole story was from the Epic of Gilgamesh. I personally do not believe carbon dating. I do not believe scientists have that even close to right. I am open to listening and learning, but more and more, the more I dig into this stuff, I absolutely do not believe this planet is millions of years old. I believe it is 6,000 to 8,000 years old. And I know that the church or some other people say around six, something like that. And I know that it's hard to wrap our brains around with everything they teach us in school. But if you haven't watched mine and Dane's episode where we went over the fossils and how fossils can actually, you can create a fossil in 2 years with water. Now, put yourself back in history in this time and think of a massive flood and everything happening all at once. That would create a lot of fossils. That would wipe out the dinosaurs. That would do the Grand Canyon and other canyons and other places. That is, yes, that's what I believe. I believe the Bible is the truth. It is absolutely from beginning to end the truth. Um, so I don't agree with science on the dating aspect on this. So I just wanted to clear that up while I was playing this. Hold on 1 second. Let's finish this.
World and a collection of wholly original stories. The Epic of Gilgamesh did the same thing, since it was inspired by stories that were probably told orally for hundreds to thousands of years before being committed to writing. Before the discovery of the works of the poet-priestess Enheduanna, daughter of Sargon of Akkad, it was believed that the Babylonian writer Shin-Leqi-Unini was the world's first author recognized by name. As Gilgamesh had been a popular hero for decades before the epic was written, Shin-Leqi-Unini likely had access to a large variety of Sumerian sources from which to draw inspiration. For instance, Gilgamesh plays the role of a devoted brother to Inanna in the Sumerian story of Inanna and the Hulupi tree about 2900 BCE. The Sumerian goddess of love and battle, Inanna, plants a tree in her garden with the intention of carving furniture out of its branches. However, the tree is soon inhabited by a serpent at its base, a female
Sound familiar?
demon, Lilutu, and an Anzu bird in its canopy. Inanna has tried everything to get rid of the insects, but nothing has worked. She finally decides to ask her brother, the sun deity Utu Shamash, for assistance. Utu refuses, so she calls Gilgamesh, who arrives armed to the teeth and dispatches the snake. After the demon and the Anzu bird escape, Gilgamesh cuts off some branches for himself and then gives the trunk to Inanna to use as a foundation for a bed and a chair. It is believed that this is the first appearance of Gilgamesh in heroic poetry, and the fact that he saves a strong goddess from danger demonstrates the esteem in which he was held even at this early date. These stories portray him as a heroic figure, and the real-life king was ultimately elevated to the position of a god. He was frequently portrayed as the sibling of Inanna, one of Mesopotamia's most beloved deities. Clay tablets contain prayers to Gilgamesh, who is portrayed as an underworld judge, on par with the legendary Greek figures Rhadamanthus, Minos, and Aeacus. After returning from Ereshkigal's dark realm, where he went to collect his friend's stolen goods, Enkidu gives Gilgamesh a personal account of the afterlife in the poem Gilgamesh, Enkidu and the Netherworld, which builds on earlier stories such as Inanna and the Hulupu tree. Gilgamesh may be the only living person to have seen what is beyond death, or he may be one of only two, together with the divine Dumuzi, if Enkidu is thought to have survived his trip to the underworld and delivered this vision. The canonical account of the story is based on the cuneiform tablets unearthed by Layard in 1849 and translated and published by George Smith in 1876. These 11 tablets form the basis for any modern translation, while a 12th is sometimes added to elaborate on the connections between Gilgamesh, Enkidu, and the underworld. Enkidu dies in Tablet 7 of the traditional version, so his appearance in Tablet 12 as a servant, and not Gilgamesh's companion, is confusing and so frequently deleted. The inclusion of Tablet 12 is often explained away by suggesting that Enkidu is a ghost who has returned from the underworld to inform Gilgamesh what he has seen. However, the poem's text contradicts this reading, as Gilgamesh pleads twice to the gods to have Enkidu released from the underworld on the grounds that he has not died but is being wrongfully kept there. The conventional form of the epic is dated to the period of Shin-Leqi-Unini, and most current translators make the wise decision to leave Gilgamesh, Enkidu, and the Netherworld as separate works. Consequences and ongoing debate. Gilgamesh, who fought against death in his search for significance, is often considered the first epic hero in global literature. Everyone can identify with Gilgamesh's sorrow and the questions his friend's death raises, because we've all had to deal with loss and seek purpose in the face of death. Despite Gilgamesh's failure to achieve immortality, his story and his actions continue to be remembered and admired to this day. Since the stories that became the Epic of Gilgamesh were spoken orally for centuries before they were committed to writing, scholars have long debated whether the story as we know it today is more influenced by early Sumerian or later Babylonian culture. As previously mentioned, the Babylonian Shinleki Unini, written in Akkadian and based on the original Sumerian source material, produced the best preserved version of the story. Scholars.
All right, I'm going to stop this specific video here. And what me and Dane are going to pull up here in a second is a video that's going to go deeper into Nimrod. And I absolutely believe that the Epic of Gilgamesh was talking about Nimrod. When they wrote that, it was about Nimrod. So it couldn't have been thousands of years before Noah's flood. Like I've heard, what was his name? What's his name? Can't think of his name. One of the guys that really digs into all this stuff. Oh, it's going to drive me nuts. He describes it. Hopefully I didn't do anything there. I accidentally hit stuff sometimes. If you can't tell, I'm a very hyper person. My brain just runs sometimes, but that's a gift from God. Oh man. And now I completely lost myself. So that's what I get, right? So I do believe that Nimrod is Gilgamesh. I absolutely believe that that's who they're talking about. And we're going to go deeper into this. There's going to be a pastor who's going to be reading some things. And also, I haven't talked with Dane about this. I just kind of threw something out there. Dane and I discussed last night the flat earth. And I know he doesn't like talking about that. So that's why I wanted to give him a warning about something that's going to come up in this video. And all I ask, Dane, is that you set everything you know aside and try to listen from a spiritual aspect. Try to listen from this specific Christian's aspect and what he's trying to say. And no, I'm not trying to convince anybody about any of these topics. I just love talking about them. And I wanted to warn Dane that one part of this video does bring into this. I wanted to give him a heads up because I know he gets tired of some people talking about it. So I didn't want to put him on the spot there, guys. And if you don't believe or whatever you believe, I'm not mad at you. Like, I don't care. I won't call you names because of it. All I ask is the same. My belief has been going back and forth on that for a while now. And after I talked with Dane last night and I prayed about it, man, God has just really put it on my heart. Like something is very wrong with the globe and what they're telling us. I'm not saying that it's not right or wrong, but what they are telling us. And it will get into that. Let's see. That was Dane. Okay. But it will get into that. Are you ready, Dane? Are you on? Because what we're going to do is we'll play it for a few minutes. If Dane wants to talk about something, stop it and talk. He'll let me know and talk. If y'all want to ask a question about something or make a statement, please do. I encourage you to do so. We will talk back and forth with you. If you want to ask Dane a question, you can. If you want to follow Dane, look down in the description. I've got his Facebook on there. I need to add his X to it. We're really going to try and work on building our X together because, like I said, we've got some big plans with what we want to build this show into. It's not just going to be just a show that we come on here and talk about stuff. We want to build into something that's where we can give back and help others. I want to build into a charity where I can help natural disasters and things like that. We want to create a documentary. I know he's got plans, and we're going to get together and brainstorm on how to bring y'all the best content we can. And we're just starting at this, guys. So we're finding our groove. I've been doing this for just a little bit, but so let's get into it. I'm going to pull Dane up, and we will pull this next video up and go from there. If you want to say anything, Dane, first, let me know. I will let you go ahead and say something. Welcome.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Can y'all hear him? Sharon,
Okay.
can you hear him? They probably can hear you if I can.
Okay, I'm hoping so. I just switched. There we go. My were.
The closer you are to the,
Give me 2 shakes. I will be back in like 2 minutes.